So here's some of the other stuff I've been up to. The Warhammer 40k arsenal has definitely grown, right? We've got some terrain pieces, barrels for days, some extra HQs. All right, we have the scene unfolding here. This whole scene's going to actually play into the flavor text of this entire army, right? Because this is actually two Necron dynasties going at it. This is the destroyer cult of the Necrons pretty much kind of getting enslaved. Well, I don't know if they really even notice what's going on. They are destroyers. But for anybody that's into actually any of the lore and flavor text in 40k, it's pretty much what's going on here. That's what these little security robots are for. As far as GW is concerned, though, these are just base grips. They let me move these delicate models that aren't even finished being put together yet. So they actually do work very well as base grips, but they're just part of my fluff. They are security protocol robots. They've been given to all the nasty destroyers, especially the Destroyer Lord. In fact, the Destroyer Lord, his little robot has like some kind of upgraded plasma torch thing reaching right up there to cut his arm off. All right, just in case, you know, just in case he starts looking at us crossways, because the destroyer cults just cannot be trusted. They're just too wild. So pretty much what happens with Necrons is after they wake up after 10,000 years, some of them just start to lose their goddamn mind. So yeah, my army list is pretty much taking a cut into that. I think it also works out well because I get to cut this into two dynasties. These Necrons are effectively a dynasty that, well, it's going to give them a benefit as opposed to just, well, it's going to give them more of a benefit as opposed to just sticking them into the rest of my army, which is a shooty army. It's Mephrit. So they get like +3 inches to their range, and they get some extra armor piercing on their gun, right? But these guys, a lot of these destroyers, especially the close quarters ones, they don't even have a gun. So that's not going to help them at all. What is going to help all of these units, IMO in my opinion, is a 6-up invulnerable save, because that is what's going to be shot at these things. People are going to shoot las cannons into these. They're going to shoot mortars into these. They're going to want to wipe them just because of their devastating firepower. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that's going to be coming at these models, there's no save for. You would be surprised at what you can pull off with a 6. It just makes for a good roll. If you can pull it off, it's pretty awesome because you just deflected like, you know, a freaking doomsday cannon in your buddy's face, like, ha. So it's nice to just give them all that, and it gives them all more movement. They get to move a full 6 inches instead of having to roll for it in their advance phase. That really favors these guys. And not only that, but they get to advance through walls and through other units as if they weren't there. So very interesting. I'm trying to kind of see what I can do with all that. So that is why I split these guys. And it just works out with the story, with the flavor text, because even the other HQ over here is a Plasmancer, and these guys are outcasts. So this is like pretty much the scene of the Necrons kind of rounding up their outcasts, their destroyer cult and Plasmancers, and pretty much, you know, roping them together and, you know, putting them out on the front line and making sure that there's some kind of security protocol and measure. So that, or this can just be a dynasty being broken off and, you know, sold off to other dynasties, kind of like the way, I don't know, a Mormon marriage would end. I don't know. That's the only thing I could really compare it to. It's just kind of like what happens with Necrons. I don't know. So I've always thought these guys were a cool army just because they look like freaking Terminators, and I can't wait to actually paint them. That's what's next. Got these guys over here too. This is Games Workshop. This is because of you. you did this to us. Look at what you did. I have to put every freaking weapon on these things so that it's represented. Just in case I have to have some kind of death match at some Games Workshop tournament. I mean, you never know. You never know. I may be called forth to defend my honor, right? And I have to be Games Workshop compliant, right? So I do have some custom pieces here. This is my Cadillac command barge. I really don't even want to be showing this stuff off before it's painted, but this just goes to show you how busy I've been, right? This stuff is not easy to assemble. What I did here, some of these models were the first models I've ever magnetized. What I've done here pretty much is I dig the guns on this thing, right? And the only difference between this weapons platform and the Cadillac command barge, or the Catacomb command barge, is this HQ unit standing on it, pretty much flexing. So you take the guns out. So I got this guy magnetized so he comes off. You can take the guns out of this thing, right? And the guy would be standing right up in here on this rail down here that I put down here for magnets to put more guns down there. I don't know, I got real creative with it. But he would just be standing up there just barking orders, and I'm like, that's not really realistic. I'm like, if this guy was really fighting on this thing, he would be climbing up this thing with a scythe or something and jumping off at the enemy. I don't know. So at first, I had him up there, and I was like, you know what? Kind of had this vision of like a, I don't know, like a Viking ship type thing. And I was like, I could have him just hanging off the front of this thing like he's actually healed into it or built into it type deal. And actually, the story was I actually did order a special character to lead this whole force, and he's a Cryptech. So that's the guy that's actually running the show. He's going to be a Cryptech back here that's, you know, in charge of, you know, all these crypt thralls and all this stuff here. I forget what the dude's name is, but he is a custom limited Cryptech who looks like an old man, and he's like using his weapon as a walking stick, which is funny because he's a Terminator robot. But I guess he's so old that the only thing keeping him together is like a bunch of these little bugs that fix the Necrons and keep them patched up. And I don't know, he just looked really cool. So I'm gonna have that guy running the show secretly, because he put all these lords together, and that's kind of like the big conspiracy here. I don't know, at least in my dynasty, like all these lords, they're all just a front for the super ancient Cryptech that's in the back with the heavy support where it's nice and safe, right? And I mean, who's gonna challenge this guy on a freaking Cadillac command barge, especially with that Void Reaper scythe? That is some custom work right there. Still in progress. I do have the old weapon here, so it is magnetized as well. So just in case, like I said, deathmatch at Games Workshop, I can swap this dude's arm back in. So this is all 100% Citadel so far. They can't cite me for base grips. I already looked into that. I don't know, if somebody has any other opinions on that, let me know. But as far as I can tell, this is still a GW compliant army. As long as I take this master crafted scythe and arm off, which just looks way beefier, and it's gonna look way gnarlier when this unit is done. I think when I paint them up and you can see all the detail, I gotta go through with some green stuff and hide some of these magnets too. Necrons are not that easy to magnetize because their wrists are so small, and you need 2mm magnets. So I actually messed up some Lich Guard. But yeah, before anybody says anything about the bikes, this is all because of Games Workshop. Because a year from now, these guns won't be good anymore. These guns up here will be good. And the story here is that all of these bikes are armed with a Games Workshop warp generator, which only generates enough power to run one weapon system per game. So, boo! Thank you, Games Workshop. you did this to us. The thing is, too, they can't really complain because even on their boxes, they show that you can build these any way you want, and you can put different things on the top of them and customize them, especially these fins. So they encourage you to mess with those. So as far as I'm concerned, these are just custom. You should be able to have them like this just because you like the look of more guns, or these guys are just transporting a bunch of these other guns that they strapped onto their bikes here. They're transporting them to another Necron base. I mean, why waste good guns? That, or like I said, Games Workshop warp engine. I would say that to them at Games Workshop. So yeah, got some snipers to work on back here. But yeah, all of this stuff does take forever to put together, to plan out, to build according, because you want everything represented, right? That's why I got this dude with a scythe on him, because I actually want him to have something like that. Except for this thing. This is something that my little bro saw at one of the hobby stores, and it was like 20 bucks. Why not? We've also been just kind of checking out eBay and seeing what kind of 3D printed stuff is out there, just to compare, just to see what Games Workshop has to compete with nowadays, because it's been a while. Like, your boy has not played this since, like, I don't know, 3.5, 4th edition. I don't think there was any 3.5. That sounds like some Dungeons and Dragons. But yeah, hopefully I'm going to start cranking out some paint jobs soon. I'm going to have different color schemes, obviously, right? So that is what I've been busy with. This is a whole lot. I don't know how many points are here. Probably like, I don't know, 3 to 4 grand easily. But we've had some skirmishes. They've been fun. My little bro won the very first game with his Nurgle. And then I fought against him and the Dark Elder, the Harlequin. I'm sorry, the Harlequin. Should be quiet so they don't punish me. I did manage to pull off a victory there, and I really thought that that was my game to lose. So these games are close, and we dig them. We've been playing our own homebrew. We haven't even been playing with points and objectives. We have just been straight up just doing the old-fashioned meat grinder, which I'm glad we can still do that, right? Because all you have to do is make the table bigger, like 2 to 3 times as big as they recommend, and then you can just go to town with the old school style of grudge match Warhammer. Our side versus your side, last man standing, counting the points that you kill type thing. You know, I enjoy that we can do that, and we can also, you know, this game has kind of evolved a little bit where you have the new play style where there's different points on the board that you want to capture and hold, and you can win the game through scoring a bunch of points. And I mean, you could get all your models wiped on the 2nd or 3rd turn, but you could score a bunch of points and you could still win if your opponent cannot make those points up in a couple of turns on an empty board. From what I understand, it is possible. So I have yet to play any of that. We've just been familiarizing ourselves with the rules so far, and I'm glad to see that the rules do work for the most part with the old style of play. So I'm just happy about that. We've been having a lot of fun rolling dice. So if I get a chance, I'll share some more of this stuff with you guys. It does take a long time to do though, but I'll keep you posted. Later, everybody. Hope you enjoyed.